Okay. Is it that simple, simplifying things, Charles Robinson? That's question one. Question two, I ask, somewhat tongue in cheek,
Mhm.
but is it too late and too expensive to still trade Rodgers? Because the Packers could have done bad all by themselves.
Yeah, the cap hit. I'm pretty certain that his cap hit is actually larger
Oh,
than
it is.
the entire cap. I think literally they if they cut everyone, they could
Right.
trade him at this point.
Right.
Um,
But you understand the sentiment, though. It's like they bring it
yeah,
back to be 3-3.
yeah. I don't know. I don't think you don't invest the money in that contract to be in the situation that you're in right now. 3-3, struggling, and to be fair, not just offensively, even
Oh, the
defensively.
defense is terrible.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I
special
mean,
teams. Yeah.
it's a team that is still trying to figure out how to play run defense. They break down. There's miscommunication. They're breaking down at inopportune times. But then offensively, the focal point obviously becomes Rodgers, and it becomes the passing game because you had Devontae Adams who leaves, and then you sit there and go, okay, well, that's
Run the ball.
subtraction. This was right. And you have a deep backfield. You have two backs, obviously, that can run the ball. I think more. Okay, first off, he was sacked 4 times in this game. That's the second time this season. He's been sacked 4 times. He was sacked 4 times in the opener against Minnesota. They lost that game too. You have to go back, I think, a couple years to find a season in which he was sacked 4 times or more twice in a season. I think that last happened like 3 years ago. So I do think protection is a little bit of an issue, but at the end of the day, when he talks about simplifying things, the way I read it, the second I heard it was, this is a wide receiver issue.
Oh, yeah.
We've got guys that maybe we need to engineer. When he talks about confidence, for example, to me, that's a quarterback saying, let's try to engineer some easy completions for these guys. Let's try and get them to a point where when we do go deeper, we have the deeper stuff, which, by the way, deeper routes necessitate better protection because it takes time for those routes to develop. You have to have protection. You have to have players who know how to run the deep routes and then have the confidence to go and catch a ball. He doesn't have to put it in a perfect window every single time for it to be catchable. I think it's obvious. I think what we expected to happen is actually happening, and nobody should really be surprised by it. And if they want to remedy it, there's the route he just talked about. We'll get better as we go on. We'll become more cohesive. Guys will learn their roles, and we can solve it organically. Or you can also look at the trade deadline. Yeah, I mean, look, they were involved in OBJ, right? Like, I think that was the second place team when OBJ went to the Rams. I think Green Bay was the second place team. So if OBJ is healthy, and they're confident, I mean, he's not healthy now, but if they're confident he's going to be healthy in that window of mid to late November, maybe that's the trade you look at the deadline. Or I'm sorry,
Right,
not a
yeah,
trade.
okay.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I apologize.
Acquisition.
An acquisition.
Oh, no,
yeah,
we knew
and
what
they
you
don't.
meant. Yeah, we knew.
Yeah,
we knew
yeah.
what you
I'm
meant.
sorry.
You're good.
Okay,
You're good.
look. Okay, all that being said about OBJ or somebody else. I saw Robbie Anderson was traded today already to Arizona. All right, this all sounds good. Charles, I've heard of teams that historically have not been able to get their defense together for multiple years. Under Sean Payton, the Saints were like that for multiple years. I've never seen a team that has struggled on special teams in multiple like 2, 3, 4 years, like the Green Bay Packers. So you can talk about wide receivers all you want. What's going on with the Packers? They bring in Rich Bisaccia, special teams coach, looks good for a while, and then it falls apart yesterday. I'm just wondering what's happening with the team. Is it deeper than the wide receivers? Is what I'm getting at.
I think I'm dumbfounded. You bring in someone of that experience, of that, as that resume, and you think you would clean up things. But, and if it's not, as you said, they went through kicking woes at times with Mason Crosby, stuck with him, rode it out. Now it's punting woes. I just lean on when I came into the league and I was covering the NFL. Chuck Prefer was the special teams coach for the Detroit Lions, and he told me something that I think is true now 20 years later, and it'll be true 40 years later and 60 years later. It's small, simple things, players just doing, it's the most basic of jobs. Get in the way, stay in the way. That's it. get in the way, stay in the way. And when you have breakdowns where, whether it's a young and inexperienced player, whatever it is, it only needs to be one person who does not get in the way, does not stay in the way, and it breaks down. I don't think it's scheme. It's not, you have the coach, right? You're not sitting there going, well, geez, he doesn't have the track record to get this right. No, it's just details and players understanding exactly what they're supposed to do. And I don't want to say that that's something that Rodgers was speaking to when it comes down to simplification, but special teams to me is so clearly just a small detail and effort job. Like that's really what it's always been about in the NFL.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.